Hello everyone, my name is Gideon Besaidnout and I am an application engineer for Micrographics. Today we're going to have a look at how we can utilize model states and what is some of the advantages and how we can benefit of using your different model states within Inventor. Now I've just got Inventor 2024 open and I'm just going to create a normal parameter drawing with parameter extrusions, and then we're going to have a look at utilizing all the different model states. I'm just going to create a 2D sketch, just creating a normal circle. Going to call this, for instance, top OD, and give it just for parameter name. Going to say that's 250. I'm going to create another parameter. Just going to call this bottom OD and let's say 150. Going to say finish. Going to use the extrude function. I'm going to extrude this in the opposite direction. Going to give this another parameter just by calling it top thickness. I've got two P's in there, and give it a parameter value of 65 millimeters. And then I'm going to add another extrusion just here at the bottom so that I don't have to go and open up another extrusion. Giving this a parameter. I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger. And now it's like a small pin, small coupling that has been created. A very quick way of how you can utilize parameters. Now when we go to the Manage tab and we go to the parameters, you'll see I've created the top OD, bottom OD, top thickness and bottom thickness. Not too complicated, just keeping it quite simple. Now on the 3D model tab, in the browser, you've noticed before that there's something we call model states. When we open that model states, we've got our primary model state. That is something that will always be there because that's your primary. Now you can create new model states. So I'm just going to right click on the folder and say new. You'll see there's model state 1. I'm going to create 2 more model states. Now you'll see that there's the primary model state 1 and 2. So if I make 1 active, you'll see there's a tick next to it with a pencil. Now what that pencil means, it is I'm only actively working on this different model state. If we go to the Manage tab, we'll see that we've got under the author, we've got an edit factory scope and edit member scope option. Now the edit factory scope, what that does is that allows you to edit all the members in one instance. That is the factory scope. So all your different model states will be edited together, and then edit member, it's where you only make changes to a simple individual drawing. I'm going to leave it as edit member scope. Going to be on model state 1. Going to add a hole, for instance. I want that to be centric. Giving this another parameter. Let's say, for instance, 50, and I want it to be completely through. Now because this is active, if I go to the Manage tab and the parameters, I'll be able to make specific adjustments, for instance, to this model state, and it will only affect that drawing only. Let's say 100. And you'll notice if I go back to my primary, the hole's not there. Model state 2 also does not have it. Now, there's different ways you can utilize model states. There's quite a few different ways you can work with model states. For instance, if you have different machining stages or so on, you can incorporate model states. It's also quite handy. If I go to model state 2, I can also go to the parameters. I can change it. But notice, because there is already a created parameter, if I change this to 100, you'll notice it does not update this model state because it was not created within this model state. As you can see, if I go back to the previous model state, the ball is still 50. So that's also quite nice. You can make your individual changes to your different model states without it affecting any other model states. Now, if I change anything in this, parameters for instance, I'm making that 200. Making that 100. Let's say 45. Let's say I'm making that 100. That doesn't really matter. You will see that I can say done and I can make those specific changes. Now I can add a whole feature here and put it on there. I can go here and say ball, and say OK, and you'll see that it remembered that specific parameter that I made a change to. So in this parameter, the equation, or the whole, I can call this, let's say, want that to be ball. I actually made it equal to that specific ball, not change the parameter. I'm going to say Control Z to undo. Just redo the whole. I can click on the list of parameters and I can choose the ball parameter and say OK. And I'm just going to go to the parameters tab and change the ball, for instance, to, let's say, 60. And it would update accordingly. So you can still link other parameters that have been created within your model states. It's quite a handy feature. You can also go to your model states folder, right click and edit it via a spreadsheet, and Excel will open with all your different parameters that has been created. If I make any modifications to this, let's say my primary, I'm making this a bit bigger. Let's say I'm making this just a little bit bigger. 85. I'm just leaving the rest as is. I'm going to press save. You can also link another parameter with Excel. You can add the parameter name here and specify the dimensions. Now once I press save, it will update automatically and that parameters will pull through. So if I go back to my parameters, on my primary model state, you'll see that the top OD has been changed to 300. Now, one of the nice features about creating your model states is when you new drawing, create view, yes, asking me to save it, test, or let's say copying model states. You can open up your drawing, and now we do have the option on which model state we would like to insert. It's also quite nice and handy if you have your different machining stages, for instance. It's a great benefit of how you can create model states. If you have, for instance, rough machining stages and a final machining stage, you can set up each individual model state to represent one of those stages. And then you can place that direct model state on the drawing, and everything's still linked associatively. And that's it. That's about model states and some information on how you can utilize model states. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you like and subscribe for more content.